Hello, welcome everyone. I want to just get right into today's alumni panel because that is why everyone's here tonight. My name is John, and I'll be your host for tonight's session. I am a gap consultant here at EF Gap Year, and I'm joined by two really incredible alumni who I will introduce in just a bit. I myself, and actually, I did my own gap semester with EF a couple years back. So I'm super excited to be joined by these great people, Jett and Morgan. So today we're going to be having a discussion with Jett and Morgan, and we're going to have them share some stories from their experience, talk about why they decided to take a gap, where they're at right now, and some of their favorite and what we do with our gap programs. And also, I want to give you some context that this alumni panel will be a Q&A style. So all about really getting to know more about our alumni and why they chose to take their gap programs and more about their experiences. So I definitely encourage you all here today to utilize the chat as a way to ask us questions. If there's anything you want us to kind of go more in depth about, definitely feel free to use the chat. And we'll try to keep this timely, but also try to touch upon as many questions as we can get to. All right. So, like I said, to begin today, I want to tell you a bit about EF and our background. So, firstly, EF stands for Education First. That's probably the biggest question. And then, simply put, we're actually the world leader in educational travel. And we've been doing this since 1965, so about 60 years now. And in that time, we have helped send millions of people to see new places, learn new cultures, learn new languages, and really just discover new things about themselves and about the world. And we actually work with thousands of high schools and colleges all across the United States. So maybe you know us from our EF Tour programs for high schools and colleges, maybe from EF Ultimate Break, EF Go Ahead. There's a lot of different ways we have our reach. So this is just another aspect of our worldwide presence. One great thing I always want to touch upon with EF, having such a worldwide presence, we have a little over 50,000 employees located in around 114 countries. So that just means we are actually everywhere our customers travel to, should they need us in many ways that other gap providers just can't. And when it comes to our programs and EF Gap Year, we really make them in order to help students thrive in today's ever-changing world. And you'll be hearing firsthand how these our own students were impacted by these programs by having the space to kind of go outside their comfort zone. We provide them with the tools and the experiences and ultimately help them shape up their confidence to just take on this world. So I want to actually get into a bit about our programs itself and how they're all structured and how they work. So I'll start with our three different lengths of our program options. We have short-term programs that are 4 weeks, semester programs that are 10 weeks, and our 23-week gap year. They all happen at different periods of time throughout the year, and I'll kind of walk through what we offer and when they depart and kind of get into all the programs that we talk about. So first, I'll jump into our short-term programs. Again, these are 4 weeks long, and they happen at various points throughout the year, with departures in the fall and in the spring and summer, and actually departure in the winter a little bit in the future. But these are really perfect for students who are looking to fit one of our programs, maybe without having to take time off from school, maybe during summer break, or maybe they're doing this during the fall and want a little bit shorter of a stint, or in the spring as well. So here are two of our programs, our short-term programs. We have this European Exploration Program, which actually goes through 4 different countries and a bunch of different cities across Europe. And similarly, we have a Costa Rican Exploration, which really gives you a chance to do a guided exploration, a deep dive into the country of Costa Rica, where you'll be working hands-on with a lot of different nonprofits and a lot of different projects surrounding environmental sustainability on that Costa Rican exploration program. So next, we actually have three more short-term programs. We have our Journey to Japan and our Spanish Sojourn. And these programs are kind of structured in the same kind of with the same kind of skeleton. I mean, they'll be in different parts of the world, but the Journey to Japan really does a cultural immersion into Japan. You're going to be living like a local in Tokyo. You'll be taking language classes at our own EF language school. And in the Spanish Sojourn, you're doing a program where, again, you're taking that cultural immersion all across of Spain. You're taking classes at our language school and really getting a good opportunity to tie in the language with the culture of the country that you'll be staying in. And similarly, with our East Asian exploration, you're doing a lot of travel within Japan and South Korea. So again, a really cool opportunity to fit in a lot of pretty bucket list experiences into a shorter time frame. And I also want to mention that regardless of which gap program you choose, whether it's short-term, semester, the gap year, you always have the opportunity to earn college credits. They vary depending on the program length. So next we actually have our semester programs. And these are 10 weeks long, and we built our semester programs to actually kind of mimic the academic calendar. We have departures in the fall, in September, and in the spring around February. So I'm assuming many of you here today are possibly looking into our spring departure next year. So this is actually a great time to get to learn more about our programs and what this is like. And something I would just emphasize is that because we are approaching the departure date, it is definitely, if any of our programs really stand out and you just want to learn more, we actually are hosting another session tomorrow, which gives a real deep dive breakdown into the nitty gritty of our programs, and it gets super granular into how our programs are structured and how they look. Today, I'll just be teasing kind of the shape of our programs. But again, for our semester programs, they are one of our fastest growing and most popular programs. We have a lot of students who maybe are deciding that they're in their first or second year of college and maybe they're feeling like this isn't really for them. Maybe the major isn't really what they were looking for. Maybe they just took the fall semester off and looking through for some spring options. We have a lot of spring admits who actually do our programs in the fall as well. So there really is something for everyone, regardless of where you are in your college journey. So, so I'll touch upon four of our semester programs here. And again, like I said, tomorrow we're hosting a session that kind of really goes into the deep dive. So I'll just kind of quickly skim across them. As you can see the general layout of where our programs travel to on these different four programs here. You get to experience a lot of very different cities, really exploring the culture and getting a full immersive view. And something about these programs in each city, in each country that we travel to, we really want to make sure that you're getting a pretty cultural immersion, meaning that you are meeting with the locals, you're exploring what the city, the culture is known for, what they have to offer. For example, in Paris, a lot of the times you're focusing on the art and architecture. And let's say in Italy, you're focusing on the food and the agriculture, really concepts and themes that are important to the cities and countries that we travel to. These are three more semester programs that we offer. And again, you can see the variety of the places we travel to, really dynamic programs. I actually just came back. If you see the change maker in the top left, I was just in the Dominican Republic with some of our students last week. And it was really great to get to see the type of student who is made for each one of these programs. So I definitely recommend maybe alongside this presentation tonight, or if you want to learn a little bit more tomorrow, maybe go on our website and explore all these different program options. You can see the entire kind of week by week, day by day itinerary. So definitely a great resource that we have on our website if you'd like to explore. So we also have study abroad programs, and we actually partner with some of the world's top colleges and universities, where you're really doing having a study abroad program that incorporates the cultural immersion that we put on our GAP programs, as well as having a very detailed international educational experience that kind of mimics the curriculum of the places you travel to. So here are three of our study abroad programs. And again, they vary in length of time, the amount of credits you can earn. Really great depending on if you are maybe really know what you want to study and you just need a couple credits to finish up. You want to, or maybe you don't know what you want to study and you'd rather kind of check some boxes to know what you like or what you don't like. These are three really great opportunities for you to kind of explore. So lastly, we also have our fully ultimate gap year program. Like I said, is 23 weeks, and you can see the itinerary loosely here split up into 2 semesters. We have our fall semester and then our spring semester that follows it up. And in the beginning, you can see the first 6 weeks, you're in a new city almost every week. You spend a week in London, a week in Paris, and so on. And then you move into 3 weeks in Australia, seeing a bunch of different cities, and then 3 weeks in Thailand. And that's just the first semester. So you can imagine that is a really exciting and kind of fast-paced start to the program, which we believe kind of lends perfectly into the second semester, where now you have the option to really hone in on one of these options. Either you want to hone in on your language learning, so you can choose off of the cities that we have available here where you want to spend the next 11 weeks, or you can choose to opt in for an international internship, which is based in Stockholm in Sweden, which is also an English-speaking company, so you wouldn't have to know Swedish. But this internship program is really exciting because it's not like we have a list of 100 internships and we just tell you to pick one. It actually is really curated to the students that we are working with. We kind of do a one-on-one mentoring session, help to craft a resume, and they kind of place our students in an internship that we feel will best support their goals and what they're interested in and their talents. So again, that looks pretty different depending on who you are as a student. But again, more detail, more information on any piece that I kind of ran through can be found out tomorrow at our info session that we're hosting, or you can communicate with one of our gap year consultants. They can kind of give you a one-on-one counseling session on all of our programs. Or you can also just explore our website. Three really great options depending on what is most convenient for you. Okay, so enough of our programs. I want to welcome back Jett and Morgan. If you guys can turn your cameras, your mics on. And I want to give a moment now for both of you to kind of introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit more about your own gap experience. Jett, maybe we'll start with you. If you can just start by telling us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and kind of a run through of your program.
All right. My name is Jett Randall. I'm from Seattle. I did 2 years of community college before I went on my gap year. And I ended up taking the gap year program, which was at the time 25 weeks. I went to Barcelona, Thailand, and Sevilla during that time, as well as the other like supplementary integration modules that we did. And I had an absolutely amazing time. I would say that it was a very, very foundational and growing experience for me, and it allowed me to really branch out into who I wanted to be. And now I am going to the University of North Carolina, where I didn't even really know where I was going to be going for college, what I wanted to be doing, anything like that. And I feel like it really set me on the right track in terms of reattending school after doing my first 2 years of college in Seattle.
Love that, Jett. Perfect. Thank you. Morgan, throwing that same question on to you now. Just tell us a little bit about you, who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about your program.
Yeah, so I did the gap semester program this past spring, and I'm from Denver, Colorado, and I did this, what would have been my second semester of my senior year, but I actually graduated a semester early so I could do this program. And now I'm living in Denver and I'm working at an internship 30 hours a week and also doing photography for a magazine.
Awesome, Morgan. That's really cool. I also think it'd be cool to share my own experience with the crowd here. Morgan, I also did a gap semester like yourself. The majority of my program actually focused in Rome as well, learning the language. So, but we have a lot of shared experiences with the language school there. So excited to kind of dive into that with you. After a little bit of this introduction, I actually just want to let the crowd know that both of our alumni are just so incredibly creative. We actually started this presentation with a video that Morgan actually produced of her own gap semester time. And I want to now kind of transition into some photos that we had our alumni send us, and we'll kind of have them walk us through, why they chose these photos and kind of the meaning behind that. So Jett, we'll start with you. If you kind of walk us through the programs you sent to us and give us a little insight as to why they were meaningful for you.
Yeah, so during my time abroad, I actually brought with me a little 35 millimeter film camera that I took like over 2,000 photos with, and I would send them incrementally to like the EF social media page, and they would post them and stuff. But the three photos I picked, one of them isn't from the camera, but the one on the top left, that is when I went down to Cinque Terre with my best friend Andrew, who like I went to high school with, and he went on the program with me. That was after about 6 weeks of being on the program. I had just spent about 5 weeks in Barcelona away from him. He was in Rome doing his language study, and we met up and went all the way down the coast together. And it was probably one of the most magical experiences I've had in my entire life. And I really want to like emphasize that even though there is like a foundational program for what you're doing, there's so much stuff that you can do on the side. And during my time, I think I went on 4 or 5 trips, including Italy. I went to the south of France. I visited Nice, Switzerland, Morocco, Portugal. Like I was doing a lot of stuff during that time. So that's something that you can really focus on as well if you're looking to travel a lot. But the second photo on the bottom was our very, very first night in Bangkok. There was this river god festival going on at that time, and they got like our entire cohort together, and we went and we walked the streets of Bangkok, and it was like absolutely amazing, complete culture shock to like an extreme, where just like foods that you've never seen before, traditions that you've never seen before. It was really, really interesting. It was really cool. Very like key core moment of my trip as well. And then the photo on the right is when I was with my friends again. We were doing a little, I think it was a mangrove kayaking tour, and we were kayaking around for like 2.5 hours, and it was like just one of the best times that we had. My time in Thailand was just absolutely awesome for like forming relationships with friends. During that time, I would say I still talk to like 4 or 5 people specifically from Thailand, like on a weekly basis, if not a daily basis. So these are friends that not only are you making on the trip, you're making for a lifetime. So just really
Jett, that's awesome. I mean, so many of those sentences that you shared, mangrove kayaking tour, river god, I mean, all these crazy events that maybe would have the 99% of the world wouldn't even have an opportunity to see. So I appreciate you sharing these photos. These are really cool, almost like something out of a movie. Morgan, I want to then transition to you. Can you give us a little bit insight? I know we saw almost your entire semester in the beginning with the video, but kind of walk us through 3 photos you sent to us and a little insight behind them.
Yeah, so my program was mainly just in Europe. So I wish I got to go to all the fun places that you got to go to, Jett. That sounds amazing. But so this very first photo was actually when I was in Rome doing my language study. So we met a really fun Swiss kid who was 15 years old. That's who was on my shoulder right there. His name's Louis. And he just became our best friend. Like he just went to Rome to learn language for 2 weeks while he had a school break in Switzerland. They have like a ski holiday. And he was the most independent little kid. And he was hilarious. And he found some way to get to this beach outside of Rome using public transport that we had no idea how to get to. And we're like, do we actually trust this 15-year-old kid? And we did. And there was 7 of us from my gap semester program that were in Rome together. And so this was like a moment all 7 of us got to spend together and go to the beach, have a great day. We got off class early. It was like a random Wednesday. And so that will always remain a very big memory for me. And then the second picture is also in Rome. Rome was definitely my favorite, as you can tell by both my photos. But during this program, there's so many ups and so many highs, but sometimes you do have some low moments. And this was a moment for me. I was kind of overwhelmed, like being surrounded by people 24/7. It was like about a month in the program, and like I hadn't had a moment alone yet. And so then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for a walk real quick. Like after class, I told my roommate, I was like, I'll meet up with you later. And as I was on this walk, I encountered this like beautiful double rainbow. And I was like, this is just like a sign. I was like, oh, this is where I'm meant to be. Like, this is like, it was such like a special moment for me, because I was like, one moment I was finally on my own. And then the third picture was actually from the beginning of the trip when we were doing our guided exploration throughout Europe. And these are like 4 girls that I'm like still closest with today. And last minute, we decided to get tickets to this football soccer game and in Paris. And that was like, we actually felt like we were a part of the culture. Like we were running late. We're like running through the streets of Paris, trying to figure out how to get here, like trying to find our seats. Like everyone's just speaking French, but we actually felt like more immersed in the culture. Like we really got to see everyone like supporting this game. And like, it was definitely a highlight of that moment for me.
What awesome photos. Also that we gotta run it back to that Swiss kid, kind of showing you guys around the beach. That's a really cool moment. I hope you're still in contact with him to this day. That would be
Oh
great to
yeah,
find
we
out.
are. He's
I
he's
love that.
hilarious. We're trying to get him to come out here. We'll see.
You need to. And then also that double rainbow. I think that must be one of the most vibrant rainbows I've ever seen. That's really pretty. Awesome, awesome stuff. Okay, this is good. All right, so nope, don't want to do that. Now I want to take it off screen share so we can see each other and kind of get more into the Q&A portion of the time here. So again, I encourage the audience here, if you guys want to just drop some questions in the chat. I'm going to be peppering our alumni with some questions, but definitely feel free to utilize the chat if you'd like to. Okay, so I want you both right now to use your brains and kind of transport yourself to the moment before you actually went on your gap year, your gap program. I want you to think about like what like mental state you were at, what was going through your mind, and kind of what made you decide that you wanted to take a gap program during or after your college experience. Morgan, maybe we'll just start with you for this question.
Yeah. So the reason why I ultimately decided to take a gap was my like one like lifelong dream was to really study abroad during college. Like that's how I chose the college I was going to, like based on their study abroad programs. But unfortunately, COVID hit my freshman year, and that just impacted everything. So I like tried multiple times and like applied and got into study abroad programs, but unfortunately my college like shut them all down in my junior year, which is when most people study abroad. And so as I got to my senior year, I was like, you know, I really want to like study abroad, and like programs had opened back up, but since it was my senior year, I had like capstone classes that I couldn't complete overseas. So I was like, I found out a way that I was able to actually graduate a semester early. I like did an extra class, and the most chaotic semester of my life, because I was trying to like soak up everything about college. But I knew I really wanted to go overseas and abroad. Like all my friends didn't believe I was going to do it. They're like, you're not going to graduate early. You're not going to do it. But that's how I like encountered EF. I was really looking for something to go abroad, but I wanted to also like get some work experience before I like entered the corporate world, as well as like just have fun. Because being in college, like going straight into college out of high school, I was kind of feeling burnt out from just working 24/7. And so I was really trying to find a program that let me like do an internship as well as travel, because most other international internships, you're stuck in one place for the 3 months. Or a regular study abroad program, you're in one place for 3 months and you're going to classes every day. But this was a good mixture of both.
I really appreciate that context. I think it also kind of points to like you knew what you wanted to get out of your time abroad, so you were able to find one of our programs that kind of met those goals that you kind of put forth. I guess Jett, I want to throw that question back to you. You know, what made you decide to want to take a gap program, and kind of how did you find EF?
So initially coming out of high school, my best friend Andrew and I were planning on going on a gap year with like a different program, but then it got hit with the COVID stick once, and then it got hit with the COVID stick again. And by the time that like finally that opportunity finally came around, I had finished 2 years of community college that were online asynchronous, and I had the opportunity to go to a 4-year college, but I still wanted to take that time and really like find myself, because I never got that opportunity outside of high school. I hadn't really gotten the opportunity to get college experience. I just had so many like things that I felt like I had missed out on during that time. And my sister actually found EF off of like an ad on TikTok, and she sent it to me, and I sent it to Andrew. And I was like, dude, we should do this. Like we should do this program instead. And he's like, hell yeah, let's do that. So that's a quick little story, but I feel like in terms of like what my goals were for like actually going on the program, I was really, really lost in terms of what I actually wanted to do. Like the entire time that I was going through community college and doing all my online classes, I was doing it with the purpose of just getting a really general business degree, which there's like nothing wrong with that, but it had no like legitimate purpose behind it. And I would say that the like the core parts of my gap year are so foundational in what I'm studying now, where I've completely switched my major. I'm doing journalism now. I'm like in the advertising portion of that, almost as far away from like business as I could possibly get, which is kind of funny thinking back on it now. But I feel like I was really able to find out who I was, find like a creative outlet, find a place where I had a lot of people with a really like-minded approach to me that were really supportive of everything that I wanted to do, and allowed me to grow in a lot of amazing ways to where I'm at right now. So
That's really cool. And I guess that also makes me think, Morgan, about your experience a little bit in terms of, you had those opportunities with your college that kind of fell through. And what did that look like when you were actually doing the research and wanting to find a kind of a study abroad program, a time to be abroad? Like, how did EF kind of fit in that planning process, and what did that kind of look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at and actually talking with like a bunch of different programs, but they were more like, as I was saying earlier, like just internship focused or but just volunteer focused. And I really wanted to travel as well, but I was kind of too scared to do it by myself and solo travel. And I really wanted to also like be with people my own age. Some of these programs were like a wide range of age of people. And I was like, oh, like, I don't know, like I want to stay around people my own age. That's what I loved about college. Like you're just one community, all like going through the same thing. And I actually had done EF when I was in middle school. My school did a trip over to Europe actually. And so when I saw the name pop up just on a Google search, I was like, oh wait, I've done something with this company before. And then it just escalated. Then I found Gap Year, and that's how I ended up with it.
Oh, that's so cool. And I think one thing that made me think is, in terms of you going on a program like this, for a lot of people, traveling 3 months or even a month, a couple of weeks to a new place is kind of scary at times. So especially even though you guys knew you wanted to do this, you had this plan, you knew your goals. Were there any nerves associated with kind of traveling on your own, maybe for the first time? Jet, maybe I'll let you kind of start with this.
Honestly, there was, I would be lying if I said that there wasn't like a nerve involved with it, but well, one that was supplemented, like the solution was supplemented by also going on a trip with my best friend. So I had a little bit of a cheat code going into that. But there was a really, really good community like building aspect to it beforehand, with like there was a Discord community, so I already kind of knew everybody that was going on my trip for months heading into it. I had communicated with people that I was going to live with in Barcelona, even though that didn't work out. I had talked to like several people I was going to be spending the entire year with. So there were nerves, yeah, but I feel like almost all of those nerves were alleviated within the first like 24 hours of showing up, when you realize that every single other person has the exact same feeling, and that we're all in this like crazy adventure where we're going to be traveling around the world for 4, 10, 25 weeks together. Like that's absolutely absurd, and it takes a certain type of individual to do that. And there's like a huge weeding out process. There's obviously going to be like a lot of like feeling that gets involved with that, but you're also going to find people that are willing to do that. So the people are always great. Everyone's friendly, they're ambitious, they're wanting to like grow and mature in these ways. And I feel like that makes it really easy in terms of like growing and like the acclimation process, I guess.
I definitely agree and relate to that as well. Even though we all went on three separate programs, I feel like there's always that kind of common thread amongst the people who take a gap program that makes it super like-minded and super easygoing. Morgan, I want to toss that same question to you in terms of like, were there any nerves associated? As you wanted to do this, but anything, how did you feel before going?
Oh, absolutely. I was so nervous and I was kind of like second guessing beforehand because I was like, wait, like, am I going to get FOMO from all my friends at college? Is this like the right decision? Normally, like your second semester of your senior year of college, like you just spend it with your friends, soak up every moment. And so I was like so nervous. And I was also nervous, like, about the ages since I was 22 and I'm still 22 now, sorry, going on to this program. I was like, how am I gonna be able to relate to 18-year-olds? Like, this is weird, but like similar to like what Jett said, like you have to be a certain type of individual to do this program. So a lot of them are like pretty mature and like you have to, and that didn't become an issue. Like I remember when I first like messaged, I was like, I'm probably gonna be the oldest one here, but I wasn't. There was like three other people actually older than me and then a few others my age. And yeah, the nerves just like went away right away. I also didn't have too much time to like think because I ended school in December and then left in January. So it was very like quick, but everything worked out fine, which was great.
Yeah, to piggyback off of what she said, I feel like one of the things that I was really thinking about, and I kind of forgot since it's been a while, but everybody is almost 18. There's only a few people that are going to be like 19, 20, 21, 22. I think so when I initially left for my trip, I was 20 years old. There was like 7 people older than me on my 145 person cohort. Like I was one of the oldest people, and I thought that there was going to be a huge maturity difference in terms of the people that I encountered. But like what Morgan said, there is like a huge weeding out process in terms of like the type of ambition that you have to do something like this, the type of qualities and characteristics that you have to do something like this. Like there's so many components that just weed out all the bad roots and stuff like that. So it's just a lot easier than you think it's going to be in the long run. It's easy to stress, but it's going to be easier than if you like had your freshman year of college and you thought that was going to be terrifying. This is so much easier than anything like that. So.
And you also touched upon all the resources that we do actually before the program even starts. We always like to say your gap journey begins like the moment you enroll on one of our programs, because you get introduced to a whole slew of advisors and WhatsApp groups and orientations and this and that, and which makes it feel a little bit more of a community before you actually go on the road with us on program. And on that same note, something that I feel like is interesting, because you both have had experiences maybe on the more independent side because you were already in college, or to Morgan's point, she actually finished college. What was that like in terms of that independence piece, coming from maybe a more independent college experience and then moving into our gap programs? Was there enough independence for you on that program? Morgan, I'll direct that to you first.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much free time, free days. And once you get to the modules, like you're on your own. So you have so much, but you still have like the home base of a school and like an on the ground tour advisor, tour director that will like help you with everything. And I actually felt yeah, there's rules as with everything. Like I was in a sorority and a business fraternity. And so I was kind of used to these rules. And like I felt like this was way more lenient than that. And so same with college, like there are rules for everything. So of course, in certain aspects, like you're gonna have to like follow what your tour director says and follow these rules, but it's all about like being safe. So I actually felt like there was like more independence than I was expecting going in.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that, where your independence is almost completely up to you, where there's going to be people in the cities that you're in, unless you're going to a city that just isn't very popular amongst like your cohort, which there really isn't anything like that. There's usually going to be at least like 10 people no matter where you go. So while I was in Barcelona, there would be days where I wouldn't see anybody that I knew, and I loved it that way. And there would also be like a whole entire week's period of time where I spent every single waking moment with my friends, and I had an absolute blast. Like that is like completely within your control to do whatever you want, to go do whatever you want. And like I was saying earlier, there's also just so much like free time. You don't even have to be spending the time in the cities that you're in. Like
Mhm.
you can go to pretty much wherever you want during that time. You are a full-fledged like free being, just like with it, like obviously like within reason. You're not going to go to like Asia while you're in Europe or anything like that. But like I went to Morocco. That was really easy. It was a day trip. Uh, just stayed there for a little bit with my friend. I solo traveled Switzerland for like an entire weekend. That was awesome. So you have so much free time to go do whatever you want, and that's completely up to you. And you can ease into that, or you could just jump into that if you want to.
I think you made a good point, Jet, in terms of like relating it back to the individual, where on two ends, like if you're the type of person who wants that super structured, kind of more dependent leaning program, like we definitely have those options for you. You can find them on your own program, whether that's, with the tour director that kind of sends messages on what activities that there are to do with your own kind of group of people that you mesh with, that you can do things with them. Or if you prefer to be on the more independent side and maybe do a solo trip here and there, we definitely have programs that lean towards kind of that structure and support as well. It's definitely a kind of a spectrum on how that works. And I think one thing I wanted to kind of relate this back into, someone in the chat asked kind of a question relating to his son, who is kind of a little immature for his age and is worrying about his interest on this program. Is there anything you two would recommend in terms of, the concept of a gap is a very like new thing to a lot of people. It's still kind of, that seed is starting to sprout. Are there any resources, or maybe even communicating with both one of you two? I feel like could be a good option for this person to get a better interest in, or kind of get excited about our programs. But anything that you top of mind comes to your head in terms of how to get some interest for this program? Jet, maybe I'll start with you on this.
Yeah, so there was a lot of really good advising appointments that you're like available to reach out for when you initially sign up for the program. But I would highly recommend, like, if you see someone on like the Instagram page, like just reach out to them and like ask an alumni first, because you're gonna get a really genuine, like you're gonna get a genuine response, and they're going to care about your well-being, and you're going to hear everything that you like want to hear. It's just going to be very, very like solid and genuine, and it will be perfect. I had several people reach out to me while I was on my trip, because I would like get posted like incrementally with like the photos that I would send in. And I think there's like 7 or 8 people on this year's gap year program that I ended up talking to throughout my program. So if you want to reach out to like me or Morgan or anybody else on the Instagram page, like it is a really, really tight community of people, and everybody's really willing to help you. So just go out and like communicate as much as possible.
I love that. Morgan, any other sentiments that you would kind of echo in that?
Yeah, absolutely. And then also, I remember when I was like looking into this program, I was like Googling like other students' videos. Like I was like EF gap year, because so many people have created their own videos and even created their own like blogs. And so I got to like get that like firsthand experience of them through that. And also just looking at like what other people did in their free time and all the activities that each of, like there's an itinerary. You can even ask like your like who you're talking to for. And I remember that's what I asked for, because I wanted to see like what is like a previous itinerary that other students did, because I wanted to make sure there was like activities I was interested in, and that really helped get me interested. Like I saw we were doing like a cooking class and a painting class and all this sort of stuff, and I was like, oh, that sounds fun. Absolutely.
I love that. And I also want to shout out Jet actually helped to create this awesome Instagram video. I'm gonna have someone drop it in the chat for us any moment now. I think exploring our Instagram, exploring resources that can maybe meet the student where they're at, and just like that, the technical magic behind the scenes works. Check out this Instagram post. Jet does an amazing job kind of breaking down his gap experience and what it did for him. And I think really engaging with resources that kind of, like I said, meet the student where they're at, whether it be on the Instagram, we have TikTok, or on YouTube. I think that could be a really approachable way, maybe a digestible way for people to kind of get excited about these programs. And on that note, I want to kind of talk more about the on-program experience and like maybe how it relates to your college experience, or rather how it doesn't relate, how they were maybe entirely different. Can you speak on like the aspects of this experience that are super unique that is different from the college experience? Morgan, you think you can take that away?
Yeah. Well, I'll first start with like something that was similar. Like coming right in, it felt like freshman year of college all over again, where like no one knew each other. Like everyone was wanting to make friends. So I remember that's what I was so nervous about. Like I was like, oh, I don't know anyone before going on to this. And like as soon as like we landed in the airport, like everyone's chatting, we're making group chats, we're like right away like making connections. And so that was like what I like was really happy to see again, because it just felt like a community right away. And then I guess what's different is like I feel like you learn so much more from traveling than you do like in school. Like, and it's just such, you're way more independent than you are in school, actually. Like, at least like on my internship, like I was in my own apartment by myself. Like, I was always had roommates all throughout my college experience. So that was like completely new to me. Like, I had to like get myself to work, make dinner every night. Like, some nights, like, I wouldn't see anyone outside of my internship because we were all just so busy. So that was definitely different. But also just like the connections, like in mine was only a 3-month program, and I felt closer with some of those people on my program than some of my friends I had been accumulating for like 4 years at college. So like that you just get to know someone so much better like traveling rather than just living with them.
I love that. And Morgan, would you mind getting a little bit deeper into your internship experience? I want to know a little bit more about like what that was like and maybe how it relates to like previous work experiences, if you had that as well. Just kind of give us a dive into that.
Yeah, so I did my internship in Stockholm, Sweden, and it was only for 4 weeks, and it was with a business consulting company, and I was a business development intern. And I remember like going into this, they were asking like, what kind of internship are you wanting? And all my previous experience had been in like marketing or social media marketing, and my degree is in business and advertising. And so I really wanted to get to more the analytical side because I feel like I haven't applied that in the real world. So I got to do that with this internship. And then I feel like that's what helped me get my like current job now, because I'm like a brand management intern right now. And seeing that I had some of that analytical experience definitely helped me. And yeah.
I love that. Yeah, and I think having an experience, I think the way you did it, like right after your college experience, getting that study abroad experience, plus getting that internship, really feels like it kind of molded well in terms of mapping out your entire college journey. Jett, can I throw that question on to you in terms of how that internship experience was like?
Yeah, so my internship experience was a little bit different than Morgan's, where I worked for like a men's elevated shoe manufacturer, which was definitely like an interesting experience. And they all spoke Spanish. There was one person that spoke broken English. So that was definitely a little bit of maneuvering in that regard, but it did give me a lot of very, very valuable real life experience in terms of dealing like with other people that don't even speak a language with you. If you can communicate with people that don't speak the same language as you and work in an environment and actually get stuff done, you can do almost anything in America. So I would say that I learned a lot of things about myself and about like the capabilities that I have during that time. I also just want to say that the people that you meet on your gap year program are going to be really, really, really valuable people for you later on in life. Where I have already had an experience with applying to a college, like a school within my college this year, and I reached out to like 4 people that I met throughout my program that were like running different projects or something like that to write a letter of recommendation for me. All of them were absolutely outstanding letters of recommendation, and like it's allowing me to like progress my academic path even further to the point that I'm going to be able to get like a better degree because of it. So there's so many other like other than just the experience, there's so many like connections that you're going to make during that time. You are literally touching, if you're doing something like what I did. I know Morgan, you were in Europe the whole time, but like since I went to 5 different continents, I was touching like people that on every single corner of the globe that you could possibly imagine. So having those connections is just really, really valuable, and it's already helped me out a lot.
I love that. And I kind of like how we also, let this conversation kind of follow that linear path of where you're at. So now I want to focus on like the current moment. Like you guys are X amount of time removed from your own gap experience. Can you tell me anything that like sticks out that maybe how you feel impacted, how you maybe feel different from before you went on your gap to now, and what that person looks like? Morgan, I'm curious to hear your response.
Yeah, I absolutely feel like way more outgoing. I went into this program thinking I was an introvert. Definitely not. You become an extrovert after being on this. And I actually had the opportunity. So, with my college group of friends this summer, after we all graduated, we actually went to Europe together. And right away, they even noticed a difference in me. Like, I wanted to go off because they were going to a museum in Paris I had already been to. So, I was like, oh, I'm going to go off on my own right now. And they're like, are you sure? Are you going to be okay? Are you sure? I was like, I promise I'm fine. Like, they were so scared to leave our little group. And I was like, it's not as scary as you think. Like, because once you've done it, it's not scary. And they were just so shocked to see that. And I was shocked to see that myself too, that I was fine going off on my own.
That's so cool. Yeah, and I think actually I want you to also answer that question in terms of that just came in the chat in terms of having maybe any FOMO from being away from that your group of friends that you made your final semester of college. Like, what was that like? Did you experience any of that? And if so, how did you combat that?
I feel bad. I thought I would feel FOMO, but I didn't. Like, you are so busy and you're having such great experiences on this trip. And I actually had friends and classmates from school like messaging me being like, what are you on? Is this study abroad? Like, what are you doing? How are you traveling so much? And then I was just like, yeah, this is the program I'm doing. Like, it's amazing. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm having so much fun. And that was like what I wanted to get out of it. I really wanted to have as much fun as possible and as well as like get some like experience and like learn. I didn't learn Italian very well. I was only there for 4 weeks, but and my almost everyone in all these countries you're going to does speak English, so that is helpful. But I do need to keep working on Italian. But yeah.
That's awesome. I love that response, Morgan. And Jett, let me throw that back to you in terms of one, like how you feel. What is the Jett like now, and how is he different maybe from the Jett before he went in this gap?
Well, like I highlighted before, I feel like, well, one, I've really found like a creative outlet through like my photography. And during the time that I was abroad, I literally journaled every single day. Like you can't really see it, but like right back here, I finished 5 journals. I journaled over 1,000 pages while I was abroad. So like every single day, I was just like writing down everything, like unknowingly practicing like certain skills, which really allowed for like a different level of mindfulness and creativity to like blossom within me. But in terms of like growth, I I like to tell people that are like looking into going on a gap year that traveling is 100% the best thing that you could possibly do to ever grow. Like in terms of experiential growth, stepping outside of your comfort zone, traveling is almost going to be like the perfect option every single time, especially when you're in a cohort based system where you have other people to lean on during that time and you don't have all the stress on yourself. Like, okay, I need to go figure out like how to get my next meal, or I need to figure out where I'm living next. Like having that figured out for you is really, really nice. But um I like to like compare it to like you're driving in a tunnel your entire life, and then all of a sudden you go out and you start seeing the world. And this is coming from someone that's stayed in like Seattle almost his entire life up until this point. But like you're coming out and the entire world just like opens up in front of you, and you're seeing everything with like these rose colored glasses, and you're realizing there's so many different opinions and people and like a base level of humanity out there that you just didn't really realize existed before. And it gives you a really good amount of empathy and compassion and insight and perspective to the world around you that you can bring back home and is really valuable for you if you're going to college, if you're doing something after college. Like no matter what, people want that. They're valuable skills to have. So it's just really, really nice.
I love that. I love leaning into those connections and the people. I think in my own experience, maybe similar to yours, Jett, it made me realize that like we're actually a little bit more similar than what I thought. I thought, me coming from my hometown and not really venturing too much away from that, I was kind of afraid to jump into this program. Then realizing that, wow, everyone's super friendly. Everyone like wants to get to know each other. Just makes it super more, you know, approachable and easygoing, which is super helpful. And I think on that note, we only have a couple minutes left, and I want to make sure everyone gets back at a good time. So I want to do some like maybe closing thoughts, some closing statements for you all to share with the crowd here. And something I think could be helpful is, can you both maybe give any tips, any advice for the college students, the prospective students and parents who are here tonight thinking about taking a gap program? Maybe anything that you would tell yourself when researching for this, or any tips that you would tell them that you think could be helpful. I would like you guys to close out on that. And Morgan, I want you to start this off.
Yeah, I remember like someone else talking about this, like maybe on the program, is like, if this seems uncomfortable for you, like still go for it. You learn the most from the uncomfortability. And that's what I learned. And even though this was such like, I was so scared before going on this, and I don't regret it for a second. I had the time of my life. And I just want to emphasize, like, if you do go on this, like really stay in the moment, because it goes by so quickly and you just want to soak everything up. And again, like, don't be worried about the age range of students. Like, I have 3 friends coming out here from that I met on the program for Halloween, and 2 of them are 19 and then one's my age. And it's like, wow, you're younger than my brother, but like, we're like best friends. Like, it's really, everyone is like so supportive. And like, we have a group chat with a bunch of the girls in my program that we're like talking in every day still, which I was so shocked by. But yeah.
That's beautiful.
To,
Jet,
to
finish
piggyback
it
off
off.
of what you said, like I think you really hit the hammer on the head right there. Where if something is scary to you, there's usually an aspect of that you have to lean into. And being able to go out and step outside of your comfort zone on a continuous basis where you're also supported during that time is one of the best things that you could possibly do for yourself if you want to grow. And I would say that in the long run, this was the healthiest environment I've ever been in for growth, where every single like component of the trip was really, really like well thought out and methodical for like exactly what I needed at that point in time and exactly who I wanted to be later on. And I'm really, really grateful for the components of that allowed for that growth as well, where you're just it's the perfect amount of being outside of your comfort zone at all times, and it's just perfect.
I love that. Morgan, Jett, I want to talk to you guys for another hour, but I know we can't do that. So I'll let you guys go, get back to whatever you're doing. And I just want to say a final thank you to you both on sharing your stories. And I'm looking forward to just seeing where your journeys develop in the future. And one last thing I wanted to just let the crowd know, I hope I've shared my screen correctly, is that if you want to learn more about our programs or want to learn more about Jett and Morgan, and you want to talk to me about my experience as well, connecting with your EF Gap Year consultant is the best way to do that. They can facilitate all the conversations through Jett, through Morgan, through myself, or programs that you want to learn more about, or joining us at one of our weekly info sessions that we're hosting tomorrow. And on that note, I will say goodbye to Jett and Morgan and say a final thank you to everyone here tonight. It's been an awesome hour, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their night.